with our guest today, Peter Harman, and Peter just had to come down the stairs from Martini's. Peter Harman's the food guru, and Peter, is Martini's in its 27th year. Is that correct?
All right, so I moved to Burlington, Iowa in May 1st, 1996.
Yeah.
All right, and so there was a restaurant at Pizzazz,
That's
and it
right.
was called J.J. McGuire's, okay? And J.J. McGuire's was this really cool, old, cherry walls and neat old bar, and it was really, really cool. And Randy Weingard owned Pizzazz, and he built this really cool thing inside there. It was called J.J. McGuire's. But the problem was it was tired, and it was old, and it wasn't really doing very well. And so I lived in Sanibel Island, Fort Myers area.
Okay.
And in Florida. And so my background is 20 years in resort hotels and big hotels, like 2,500 hotel rooms.
Trained as a chef.
As an executive chef and then later as a food and beverage director.
Yeah.
And so, we're talking about big parties and a lot of restaurants and just, always moving.
Yeah.
Food and beverage staff, 200 people. I mean, big operations. And so, but when you're a chef and you live in Florida, you're not living with the rich and famous people. You live in a regular house and you drive a long way to go to work on a resort.
Yeah.
And so, it gets old. And then every 18 months, you got a new person comes in and they tell you they're the boss. So, who wants to do that? So I grew up in Vermont, and actually right next to Burlington, Vermont. I grew up in a town called Winooski. And so Burlington, Vermont and Burlington, Iowa are really, really similar. And then so today I actually live in Iowa City.
How are they similar? Give me one way, Peter.
Very similar barometric pressure.
Okay.
It's like Vermont, when I grew up, when I was there, it was really Midwestern values. Okay. It was normal American values.
Yeah.
But the problem with Vermont is it's cold. When I was a kid, we got 13 feet of snow every winter.
Colder than here, Peter.
Yeah, well, but what happens is it snows in October and it stays on the ground till March.
Yeah.
Here it snows 2 days later, it's gone.
Yeah.
And so I remember that first January I was here, and we got like 6 inches of snow. And I bought a house, and I wanted a short driveway. I didn't want a long driveway because I knew I was going to have to shovel snow.
Smart.
And I'm like, oh man, what was I thinking? I lived in Florida. It was beautiful all year round, except a little bit hot in the summer. And now I'm shoveling snow in January again. I didn't ever want to do this again. What was I thinking? And then 2 days later...
You had to have thought about that, though.
Oh, I did. I mean, what a dummy. But 2 days later, it melted and went away.
Yeah.
And so, I'm back and living a Four Seasons life now. And I have since 1996, and I love it. I would not trade it back. I mean, so, we're talking 28 years. So I started at J.J. McGuire's, and we started working on that. And then we went for 6 months, from really July to the end of December, and then we closed it for 90 days and did a renovation and morphed it. It gutted the whole place, morphed it into what was the first Martini's Grille. So Martini's Grille, the first, was actually 6 feet under the ground, kind of like the old Boogaloo. If you remember the old Boogaloo, there was that dance pit that was down low.
Okay.
That was actually our dining room, was down there at that level. So in 2020 was the first time I ever walked into this building. Okay, I came in here and I looked around, and so Randy and I bought the basement and the sub-basement. And we were thinking about we were playing around with this restaurant at that time called Mussolini's, okay? And Mussolini's was this really cool Italian little restaurant. It was like what Olive Garden was the first Olive Garden ever. It was like the Lady and the Tramp restaurant. Okay?
Yeah.
Red and white checkered tablecloths. It was like $10 a head, and you could choose from a bunch of
This was the idea.
restaurants. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was like Lady and the Tramp, okay? And so so we were thinking about maybe moving that down here. And then as time went on, that was the year 2000. So then somebody had the fourth floor, and then they gave up the fourth floor, and then we came up and looked at it, and it had the roof of where Martini's dining room was a roof.
Yeah.
All right. And then so Randy's like, hey, we could put up steel here. We could put the glass up. We could put the roof on this thing. And then we can put the dining room right here.
Peter, how alluring was the patio
Well,
to you
the
guys?
patio wasn't even a thought. Because that was just the roof of another building.
Okay, yeah.
So we got a 7,500 square foot main building with a $6,000 square foot roof that we turned into the dining room and the bar, and then about a 4,000 square foot roof where above the Chamber of Commerce, and then that originally was going to be our emergency exit out of the restaurant.
Okay.
And then once we started figuring out how much it was going to cost to run all that steel all the way out there, then a patio happened. Okay. And so the patio was never in the original plan. It just kind of happened. It just kind of evolved.
Yeah, yeah.
And so then we opened Martini's here in October of 2004. So October, like roughly, I think it was the 20th of 2004. So we did that, and then it was like that was scary because we knew we had a great view. But the problem was, can we get the staff? Because we had to go from a smaller place to a bigger place. Could we get the staff? And so, like, there's a book called Good to Great, okay? And it was written by a guy named Jim Collins, and his premise is we got to take it from good to great. And so the Martini's, the first was good, but this had the potential to be great.
Yeah.
Because it was in a hole. The first one was in a hole. It was a cool place, but over here, we really put the wood to it and really made it special. And we had the amazing view of the Mississippi River. So we literally went from good to great. And my biggest fear was, could we do it?
Yeah.
Could we get the staff in here? So we had to hire a bunch of new people and new staff members and new cooks.
Where was the menu at for Martini's 27 years ago when you first opened the doors there?
Okay, when we first opened in Pizzazz, Martini's was a bistro.
Yeah.
So Martini's was like grilled pizza and you could get a rotisserie chicken.
Yeah.
We had some steaks on the menu. We had this one steak. It was a sirloin. All right. So we had New York strips. We had a filet mignon, and we had a sirloin. Okay. But we called it the El Cheapo. Okay. And it's the greatest in the world.
The folks that were at the Boogaloo back in the day remember the El Cheapo.
Remember, it wasn't the Boogaloo. It wasn't the
Or
Boogaloo.
it was Martini's.
Martini's
in
where
the Boogaloo.
is.
Yes.
Yep. So we had this steak called the El Cheapo. Okay, and it was like $12.99, and so you could buy a New York strip for, let's say, $25, and you can get a fillet for maybe $25. But the El Cheapo, I remember talking to people. The guy's got a medium well El Cheapo. And go, sir, how's that steak? Oh, this is the best steak in the world. Now, if he had paid $25 for that, he would have hated it.
Yeah.
But the other thing was he had to go, hey man, I like this cheap steak, and it was like naming it the El Cheapo was the coolest thing in the world because, it's like we have big ass ice cream pie and El Cheapo for a steak and chicken lips on the menu. But like I said, Martini's was very bistro-y. And then when we moved down here, it was, we had pastas on the menu and wok fried things. But because we were going to double our size, we couldn't have all that wide of a menu. We just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And not only that, the rent here or the mortgage here is so expensive that we just couldn't afford to have that low of a check average. We had to increase the check average a little bit. So we started to move more away from the bistro, more into a traditional diner or dinner restaurant, like a formal restaurant and more like a steakhouse.
Yeah.
So Martini's went from a bistro to a steakhouse with a lot of funky appetizers wrapped around it.
Peter, I just heard a great chef on a TV show. They had a bunch of guest chefs on say, as she was leaving the restaurant, that it was never about the food. It was always about the people. And the people aren't going to come unless the food is good. But is that true? Do you believe that?
Your question is an excellent question. So let me answer it for you. Okay. So I ask people this question a lot. What percentage of the success or the failure of your restaurant do you accredit to the quality of the food in your restaurant? And so the answer depends on who you talk to.
Yeah.
Because if you're talking to the chef, he's going to say 80%, 90%. Okay. If you're talking to a service person, they're going to say 50-50. Okay. If you ask me, it's 20%. Now, once again, I got my iPhone in my hand right here.
Yeah.
If this doesn't make phone calls and it doesn't text and I can't email from it, then it's garbage. I'll never buy another one.
Yeah.
Okay. But everything it's supposed to do, it does 100% perfectly. Okay. I mean, every now and then you got to restart it, or it's usually user error that something's wrong with it.
So are you saying all those things, the views, the people?
20% is food.
Yeah.
All right. I would say that another 20% is the bar. Okay. We eat and drink. So if they have lousy drinks and they have great food, it doesn't line up.
Yep.
Okay. So once again, then your bar iPhone doesn't work. Okay. So it's like everything has to work. All right? In the old days, when in 1910 when they were making cars, they broke down all the time. If you buy a brand new car today and it breaks down, you got a problem.
Yeah.
Nobody's buying a car because it's going to break down. Nobody wants to buy a product that's going to break down. So good food is a given. You have to have it. If you don't have it, and if it isn't consistent,
Why are you opening a restaurant?
then you're going to die.
Yeah.
The same thing with the bar.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the next piece is service. Okay. So I give that another 20%. So if you don't have good service, you're dead. All right. So to me, there's the customer promise. This is what we promise to do for you in exchange for your money.
Yeah.
So we're going to have good food, we're going to have good drinks, and we're going to have good service. All right? And so what's the other 40%? The other 40% is 20% of that is ambiance.
Yeah.
You got to have ambiance. I've heard this line is if you have a Michelin star restaurant,
Yeah.
okay, and the place smells like sewage. If you have Michelin quality food
Yeah.
and the place smells like sewage, is it a good restaurant?
No.
The answer is no.
Right.
Why?
Absolutely.
Because they didn't get the ambiance.
Yeah.
Here's the last 20%. You got to run a business, and you got to know how to market. And if you can't do that, you're dead.
The food guru, Peter Harman, is here. 27 years in this last 3-4 minutes, Peter, I want to talk about the people that you've relied on for 27 years.
Okay.
First of all, a great article just written on Chef Bart. Brag on Chef Bart for just a bit.
So Bart Manning is the chef de cuisine at Martini's. He's a great guy.
What a story he's got.
Yeah, and so Bart wanted to be a chef when he was 6 years old. His mom bought him a little chef hat and an apron and got him a couple.
He loved the
tools.
building. He loved Martini's, the lights.
It's an amazing article, and Bart is an amazing guy. He's worked here for 8 or 9 years now, and he's the guy that makes the kitchen work. He's fantastic, and we're lucky to have him.
Yeah.
We also have Courtney Johnson, who's our general manager. Courtney started working here when she was a senior in high school. Back then, my wife was the hostess, and so
You told
Courtney
me
worked with
about
him.
Courtney.
And then she went to Iowa for 4 years. She worked at Grille's, and then when she got done graduating in Iowa, she was originally going to go to Minnesota, and then that deal fell through, and so she just came back to Burlington to figure out what she wanted to do, and she was waiting tables at Martini's. I said, Courtney, why don't you help me start doing some marketing stuff? You got a communications degree. So she did, and then now she's general manager. So
Yeah.
she did that. And then Ashley Williams has been with us for a very long time. She's our dining room manager. She just got married to Gage, and Gage is our head waiter, and Ashley is our dining room manager, and that's an amazing couple, and they just had a brand new baby, and they own their own house, and then we have Emily, and we have Amy, and we have all these people, and what's amazing about it is that they work. Josh Mickey's been here for 20 years. We got people who've been here for a very, very long time. Wayne, the guy who cuts and breads our chicken lips and does a lot of prep, he's been here on and off for 24 years.
Yeah.
And so what thrills me is that their lives get to expand and they become better people, and then they have a family and they own a home, and that they're able to contribute to the community and be things. And part of it is because of the fact that they started at Martini's. And the thing is that we understand something at Martini's that's really important, and that is that better people build better restaurants. Like Saturday, we had a meeting, and it was all staff meeting, and it was bonus day, and people who do hit certain targets, like if you show up every day on time, you get a bonus of $1 an hour. All right, so somebody will work 540 hours in a 90-day period, they get a $540 check.
What a great guarantee to make sure people show up.
Exactly, and then the other they get another $1 an hour if they do their job without getting written up for doing something stupid. And if they do that, they can make $1,000 bonus. So that's over $4,000 a year, and that will more than fill their retirement account, or that'll help them buy a house. I mean, so what did we talk about at the Martini's all staff meeting? Really simple. We didn't talk one word. I talked to the staff for an hour. I didn't say one word about Martini's. It was all about the kids. It was all about them. It was all about better people build better restaurants. And it comes down to one thing. You have to have a purpose in life. If we have purpose, there's a reason to get out of bed, and there's a reason to go do something. And if you don't have purpose, you're just going to wander. You know, hey, you want to go out drinking tonight? Sure. I don't have anything else to do. Hey, you want to be hungover in the morning and not be able to get to bed? Sure. You know, and so if you have a purpose and you know what your life is about and you know what you're trying to do, hey, I want to get married and I want to have kids and I want to raise my kids and I want to buy a house and I want to live in Burlington, Iowa, and I want to be part of the community. Well, that's a purpose.
Yeah.
Okay. And then this is Martini's Grille is simply a job and it is a vehicle that will help you get there. But if you become really good at your craft, you can make a lot of money, and you can support your family. You know, when I remember I was 20 years old and I had gone to culinary school and I had gone to college and I was working in a restaurant, and it was in Fort Myers, Florida, and I realized that, you know what, I can actually support myself. I don't need any money from my parents. I don't need anything. I can support myself, and I can do it in the restaurant business. This is amazing because I thought I was going to have to go get a real job.
Yeah.
You know, like when you're in school, they say, well, you're going to have to do this, and you have to do that, and you got to do this because you're going to be working for a big corporation someday, and they're going to make you do this and this and this and this, and all of a sudden, I'm doing what I love, and I'm hanging out with all my friends, and it's fun.
Hospitality is a pretty great business.
It's an amazing business, and one of the reasons it's an amazing business is because, number one, you get to do there's so many different facets of this. But number two, I want to spend a minute on what is hospitality. Okay, hospitality is taking a small piece of who you are, the love that you have in your heart. Okay, because if you've ever loved anything like a little kitty or a little kid or a baby or anything like that, then you have the love gene inside of you.
Yeah.
Okay, and so what we do in the restaurant business, when the hospitality piece is done correctly, here's what it looks like. Somebody walks in. They had a bad day. They had a great day. We get to share that moment with them.
Mm.
We see them. I look at you. I see you, Eric. You're sitting right there.
Yeah.
Okay? You're an important person. I recognize that. And I want you to feel like you're important. And I think when you can make somebody feel special and make somebody feel important, like they've been seen and like they matter, people just don't understand what happened. You know, there's just something about that place that makes me feel good. But I tell all the people who work here, we're not trying to work to up the average check. What we're trying to do is gauge who the people are and then offer them our best stuff. So imagine there's no such thing as money.
Yeah.
Okay? Imagine there's no money. So if somebody comes into Martini's, what should I get? Oh man, you like steak? Oh, you absolutely got to get the ribeye. You got to get the one from the anterior end with the spinalis, and you got to get it medium rare. All right. Should I get a baked potato or not? You should absolutely get a baked potato, but if you do, get it fully loaded. Okay. Now, should you get an appetizer? Absolutely. This is the one I would get this. Or if you really love seafood, let's get a seafood tower. Should we have dessert? Of course you want dessert. See, a lot of people, you know, when people become new waiters or at other restaurants, they go, I'm trying to increase my average check, but I can't do it. Yeah, because you're trying to sell. We don't sell. We're tour guides. Hey, we got all these cool things. You want one? You know, think about this. Do you want a second drink? Of course you want a second drink. Do you want to share an appetizer? Of course you want to share an appetizer. Do you want dessert? Of course you want dessert. But most people can't sell those things. I know, but you can offer them.
I have to end this 15 minutes with Peter Harman. Tell us when we can come see everybody at Martini's. When are you open?
So we're open Tuesday through Saturday. We're only open from 4 to 9. Okay, so you got to get in that time period. We're only open 25 hours a week. Everybody who works here has 2 days off. Every Sunday, every Monday, guaranteed. And we started a new thing called Social Hour. So social hours from 4 to 5:30. And so it's not discounted things. It's things on the menu. Like we got these really cool meatballs, and we've got a really small, sexy little seafood tower that we do, and we got some cocktails that we only do during social hour.
Yeah.
And so the prices of those things are really affordable and they're really cool.
Peter Harman is the food guru. There's a book.
Well, I wrote a book called Martini's a million years ago, but I actually wrote a book called Restauranting 101. It's the 8 basic fundamentals of the restaurant business, and it actually is available on Amazon.
Martini's is right up here in this building here on 4th Street, and this is the food guru, Peter Harman. Thanks for being with us on 15 Minutes With. Thanks so much, brother. Appreciate it.